Kind of. A lot of people here in the parking lot.
How are you ladies? Good. Good. Have you been here before?
No.
Okay, so our ladies' restroom's right here when you go in.
Okay.
And then take a left through those black double doors and it'll take you to the auditorium.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Let me go in this direction. Okay. I'll see you guys there. All right, sounds good.
So right there.
Okay. No food, no bill. Water over. How are you?
Are you getting up on stage?
Not very many.
Excuse me.
Why don't you do?
Yeah, we're going to Hackle before. I kind of think about like.
Am I out of the way over here?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. This is technically a special meeting of the Bosque County Commissioners Court. It's advertised as a town hall meeting specifically to discuss the CyrusOne Datacenter that is in Laguna Park. A lot of people think it's Whitney. It's not in Whitney.
Okay, we're asking for your indulgence
One of our panelists is on the way. Matt Quest sent him to the PD, and so he should be here in just a minute.
There should be, but I don't know what. Is anything showing up on your computer?
Not that's public. I've got
They might not have a public Wi-Fi.
CISD 15 labs.
Probably not.
Everyone, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us here this evening. I'm hoping and praying that everyone gets their questions answered. If you would please take just a second and silence your cell phones and other devices. And then please join us for a word of prayer.
Most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for bringing us all together here in this wonderful facility. We ask your blessings on all we do each and every day. We hope you will shine some light and help us achieve some answers here tonight. We thank you for all this crowd that is interested in their county and their communities. We'd ask as always that you watch over our first responders and military as they go about their daily business of keeping us safe here and around the world. We'd ask you to forgive us where we failed you, and thank you for your many blessings. In Jesus' name, amen.
It is 6:06 p.m. on January the 12th, 2026, and I call this special session of the Commissioners Court to order. We have a quorum and proof of notice. If you would, please rise for the pledges. Thank you all. Our only item on the agenda tonight is for CyrusOne Datacenter. They have a presentation and will answer questions from the public afterwards. When asking a question, please state your name clearly and then spell it so that Tab can get it in the records correctly. Our emergency management coordinator, Alicia Wilson, will be traveling around with the mic. There she is. And Trace has the other one. So for any question, please wait until the mic gets to you so it can be duly recorded on the record and everyone can hear the question that you're asking. We ask that you keep your comments and language civil and respectful, or you may forfeit your time at the mic. And again, when asking a question, please state your name very clearly and provide the spelling for the record. Okay, I would like to introduce John Haddam, the president of CyrusOne.
Good evening, everybody. I have some prepared comments I'm going to walk through before we open up the Q&A. First, thank you all for being here. Thank the Commissioners Court and the community for the opportunity to address concerns directly. I've seen posts circulating on social media with incorrect information about property taxes and our project. I want to set the record straight with the facts. Our commitment, transparency, and being good neighbors, as I've said throughout this process. Today I'll cover these topics that I've heard that need more clarification: tax abatement facts, water usage, and local jobs. First off, regarding the social media post stating residents are paying higher property tax because of the CyrusOne Datacenter, let me be absolutely clear. CyrusOne's tax abatement has not started yet. Construction is not complete, so our abatement has had zero impact on anyone's current property tax bill. Claims that our property caused recent tax increases are factually incorrect. With this project, once fully built and leased, we estimate over $70 million in new tax revenue to Bosque County, Clifton ISD, Hospital District, and Emergency Services combined. This is an estimated property tax revenue figure once the project reaches full operational capacity. It includes both data center infrastructure and tenant IT equipment. This projection is based on our expected $1 billion infrastructure investment and anticipated tangible personal property to be installed by tenants. This is about creating new revenue that doesn't exist today. On to water usage. When the data center becomes operational, it will not use any water from the Brazos River or Lake Whitney. Zero. Our water system will consist of an on-site well only, permitted through the Middle Trinity Groundwater Conservation District. We will be using a closed-loop cooling system, filled once, then continuously recirculated. There is no water-dependent cooling technology implemented at the data center. Annual usage per building will be approximately 250,000 gallons per year in total. This is for restrooms, sinks, and landscaping, only for 40 employees. For comparison, a typical single-family home in Texas uses 100,000 gallons per year. We're using about the same as 2 households in Texas. Lake Whitney and the Brazos River. In August 2025, the Brazos River Authority set the record straight that there is no correlation to their water studies and data centers. The Whitney Lake reallocation study was launched to consider whether the water stored in the reservoir might be used differently than it had in the past, which includes providing more water for growing population. That being said, there are no agreements or discussions between the BRA and the owners of any data centers for water supply. There's a link to an article that we can provide after the meeting. Our facility will use roughly the same amount of water annually as 1 to 2 Texas homes. That's it. Our withdrawal rates are minimal. The Middle Trinity Groundwater Conservation District's permitting process ensures no impact on nearby wells. This is day-to-day facility water only. Cooling system is separate and closed loop and filled one time. That filling will be done from off-site water. It won't even be pulled from our well. Last thing here in my prepared comments, jobs and local hiring. We've already started proving our commitment to local jobs. Last month, December 9th, we hosted a career fair right here in Clifton that connected local residents with immediate employment opportunities. Thank you to the community leaders, the mayor, and the Civic Center for allowing us to utilize the venue for this evening. We had the career fair success happened here at the Clifton Civic Center. We had over 10 construction companies hiring on the spot, which included Clune Construction, Walker Engineering, Cherry Construction, Polk Mechanical, Pensalusa Construction, Lasso Acoustics, and more. The positions that they were hiring for were electricians, HVAC techs, concrete workers, steel workers, equipment operators, project management, and superintendents. We partnered with the Texas State Technical College to create the CyrusOne Datacenter Operator Certificate Program, and CyrusOne is offering 3 fully paid scholarships to help residents get trained and hired. Our partnership with TSTC is a 14-week data center operator certificate program, no cost tuition, books, and fees for Bosque County residents, training for long-term technical careers, not just construction. In closing, we're committed to a long-term partnership with Bosque County. This is a decades-long investment of over $1 billion in infrastructure. Our success depends on being good neighbors, and there's an open door policy. We'll share a link. You can contact CyrusOne at any time. I'm happy to answer your questions now.
Donald Jones, Jones. I'm in Laguna Park. The Clifton Record recently reported that the 70 million taxes were per phase, and there were 3 phases. Is that 70 million total, or is that going to be 210 million?
This is Jeff Droll. I work for CyrusOne. Thanks for the question. It's a really good question. The $70 million total is based on the overall projection of the project, based on what we've committed to do so far, which is the phases for the first phase and the second phase. I will say this: I think those projections are conservative at the least. When we've seen these projects develop, we want to make sure we don't overcommit to a jurisdiction, and the sort of the real variable in the math is that the tenant improvement. Just to give you a little bit of idea what we're talking about, when CyrusOne comes to a project, they build the infrastructure, right? They build the building, and that building is typically, would you say, the improvement, the tangible personal property that goes inside the building is what 3 to 5 times typically larger than what the infrastructure is. But CyrusOne doesn't, it all depends on who the tenant is, right? Some tenants it might be 5 times larger, sometimes the tenants it might be 3 times larger. So that's really the real variable there. And so that's a conservative number. You know, I suspect when we look at this project years from now, the number will be probably, you know, quite higher than that, but that's what we really get good conservative estimates on.
Okay, so that number is really just based on the occupancy, whoever's in there. That's not anything that's written in stone.
Yeah, it's based on the expected structure of the building that you're going to see on the outside, and then it's based on what we think is going to be located on the inside, which is, like I say, a really low number, honestly.
Okay, that's for the total project, all three phases, 70 million total.
At a really conservative level, yes.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Donna Pill, and my question, I just heard you talk about tenants. So you're building the facility. Who are the expected tenants?
So absolutely. So CyrusOne is a data center company. We've been in business for 25 years, founded in Houston. So as Jeff mentioned, so we build the building, we build the infrastructure. That's all the electrical infrastructure, all of the cooling systems, all the security, and then we lease this to tenants. And those tenants are typically the hyperscale type customers, and that is companies like Microsoft, Meta, Google, Amazon, and also enterprise companies. So a lot of our customers are banks and insurance companies and things like that. We can't disclose who the tenant is as part of our confidentiality. CyrusOne is the owner and the operator of the facility. When the tenant wants to go for their tax abatement, they'll contact the county.
And John, can we do a little inside baseball now, just so they can kind of know a little bit what we're talking about? So the tenants, it's not like, when I first started working these projects a couple of years ago, and I thought, oh, there's going to be all these tenants, like there's tenant A, tenant B, tenant C, all of this, but that's not really how it works, right, John? Typically, it's for one building, there's one tenant. It's an Amazon, it's a Microsoft, and they just take the entire space.
That's correct. This project is already leased, so it actually consists of 2 tenants in total across those buildings. But to Jeff's point, it's 1 tenant per building.
Rick Carter, I live there at Laguna Park, and my question is about, y'all use cooling fans down there to keep it cool. Do you know how loud the decimal points of those are? I know the one in Nashville violated the rules, and because of our people that gave abatements, that those rules could not be enforced, but it didn't help the livestock, it didn't help the birds. There's no deer. It looks like desolation around these plants. And I'm concerned about your runoff into the river. And what are these things being done? Because these people have no idea what y'all done.
Okay, so there was a bunch of questions there, and I'm happy to answer all of them. We operate over 20 data centers in the state of Texas today. Working backwards, there is no runoff from the data center. The data center uses a septic tank just for bathrooms and, for the humans who are using the facilities inside. There's no runoff from the data center. What happened in Nashville and Tennessee, I am not here to represent Elon Musk or what they did there. We operate these facilities, like I said, all over Texas. There's noise attenuation installed on all the chillers. Typically, property line levels, to somebody's house is 50 dB, which is pretty much a library. That's the noise that comes off of these sites. We invest millions of dollars in sound attenuation, specifically on the chillers and on the generators. I would not say that we don't use any chemicals. There's no industrial processes that go on here. But I would be happy for you to look at any of our other facilities. They're pretty much public, and what's around them. There's green space and wildlife and all those things. This is not a industrial manufacturing process.
And John, I understand you have data centers that use this type of chilling that are in Metroplex, like the one in Allen, for example?
Yeah, absolutely. So the majority of data centers to date have been built in kind of populated suburban areas, and sometimes in downtown areas. But we have data centers that back right up to residential properties today without any complaints. We take the noise seriously. Publicly, for full transparency, we have had some noise issues, specifically in Chicago and Arizona. We work with the community and the government to resolve those issues. So the key here is, listen, we're going to be here for a long time. We came here today to be transparent and talk to all of you and address those concerns, answer the questions. There's a lot of fake news out there. I've been doing this for 30 years. Data centers are not new to me, while they are new to a lot of other people. But we take these investments seriously. We take the communities we invest in seriously, and we're here to address all these questions.
My name is Steve Carr. I'm back here in the corner. Other corner.
Oh,
there you go.
Hey, Steve.
HARR. I'm glad you're going to be here for a long, long time, and I hope you stay very, very valuable, and that we just tax you as we tax the rest of our citizens for that revenue that you talk about. Could you give us some idea of when you believe the first phase that is under construction now will be operational, and the first year you expect to start paying tax revenue?
So the first phase will be complete here by the end of 2026. And we'll continue construction out there across all those phases. The tax revenue will get phased in as those buildings become operational.
I know one thing, John, that on just the tax rates themselves, is we've done a lot of these projects, and this is the lowest exemption that we've gotten from any project that I've worked on by far. And just so you know, on the taxes, I think you made a comment about, well, we'd love it to be fully taxed. It's pretty close to being fully taxed here. So if you look at the tax rates of all the jurisdictions, you've got the county, the school district, which is by far the largest tax assessor as it is throughout Texas in the area, the hospital district, the SD, and the water district. The only exemption is on the county taxes. It's only 30%, and it's only for 10 years. John, I think you've told me before that you think these buildings have at least a 30-year useful life.
Yeah, these are 30 to 40-year assets. And I say that, haven't been in the industry for that long. But there's pretty much no empty data centers. They typically get refreshed. There's a huge investment made by us, obviously, in the infrastructure. There's a huge investment made by our tenants on fiber infrastructure to connect these buildings. So the most logical case is to usually stay inside these buildings, upgrade them. There's some data centers that have probably been around for 40 years.
I think if you take the total tax rates of all those jurisdictions and take the 30%, I think it's less than 10% overall, and that's just for the 10 years. So I probably should have done a better job of negotiating this deal, but it's low. It's the lowest I'm aware of anyone that I've worked on.
Just a quick question. Can you tell us, you're getting your power from Calpine, I believe. Did Calpine have to, and maybe that's not correct, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but did Calpine have to expand their facilities at all and thus create a need to go to the regulatory authorities for greater imposition of costs on us as tax citizens?
It's all public. So we have an arrangement with Calpine. The data center is connected to the grid directly, and also connected to Calpine. So sometimes we will pull power from the Calpine generation plant, and sometimes we will pull power from the grid. There is no expansion of the Calpine infrastructure going on to support this. All of the infrastructure, and this is something, this is good, and, the social media stuff is interesting, especially the anti-data center stuff, because without a data center, there would be no social media. So, but we develop data centers all over the place, in Texas, around the country. We pay hundreds of millions of dollars on the infrastructure to support the data center. And all of the transmission upgrades and transformers and substations that get built are directly funded by the data center developers. So there should be no increase. There absolutely should be zero increase in your energy costs because of the data center. If anything, it should be less because of the data center, because of the investments that we make in that infrastructure.
Yes, Terry Montgomery here in Clifton. So you mentioned the fiber, so my question is kind of a two-parter. Is it your responsibility, or is it the client who's going to be in the data center to connect and maintain the fiber connection? Who's going to be your fiber provider? And I'm wondering if that connection is going to be solely yours, or is that going to possibly, impact ISPs around here?
So it's split between us and the tenant. So CyrusOne invests in our own direct fiber because we're the operator of the site, so we manage that site, so it connects to the CyrusOne infrastructure. These other sites we have across Texas. The tenant fiber, they pretty much pull in their own fiber to connect their data centers. Either some of those are leased or self-built. I don't have the fiber provider's name, but in most cases, it's multiple providers that provide that service because they want redundancy. And there's multiple points of entry to that site. I could follow up and figure out who the providers are coming into that site. Should be public information. Who's pulling in? What's that? LoopNet and FISO are the two providers that are getting pulled in there.
Good evening. My name is Cindy McAfee, and I live in Clifton. I've got a couple of questions, if you don't mind. The first one is, what type of data center will it be? Is it going to be an AI center, or is it dependent on your tenants?
I'll answer that one. So the data centers are designed to support both AI services and cloud services, and they're specifically designed that way, and our tenants view them that way. They may use them for AI training, they may use them for AI inference, they may use them for cloud services. So we don't really have purview into exactly what the tenants do on the servers that they get installed there. But the facilities are designed to support any of those things. Technology changes very rapidly, as we all know. And these facilities, like I said, 30, 40-year life, have to be able to support any of that type of workload that the tenant would want to use.
Okay. You previously mentioned that Calpine is supplying the power as well as the grid. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay. If power consumption approaches total power production, who will the power company show up first?
So very, very good. Very good question. We worked really hard with Calpine and ERCOT and Encore on this project. So the way it works is that plant is an 800 megawatt plant. And the contract that we have with Calpine is for 400 megawatts. And we will use power from Calpine when they can produce it. But if there's any event, emergency action event, it's an EAA2, I believe, in ERCOT. The data center has to disconnect from Calpine and disconnect from the grid and run on its backup generators so that capacity can go back to the grid. This is critically important, and it's really important as we think about how data centers are interconnected into the grid. Lots of investment into backup generators that sit there and really wait for these events to happen. But we're mandated through the approval process that in the event something like that happens, let's take a Uri for instance, which would probably be the worst case scenario. That data center would be disconnected from the grid. It would run on its own generation. And it would only go back to the grid when the grid was stable.
Okay, a follow-up question is with regard to backup generation. What source is that and how long can it run for?
So they're diesel generators, tier 4 diesel generators. They have 48 hours of fuel storage, belly tanks that are above ground, and they can pretty much run. I mean, we run them in Houston during, hurricanes for up to a week. That would be probably the most extreme. They're really designed for intermittent type of events. So in speaking of an EEA2 event, in the past 14 years, excluding Uri, it's only been about 2 hours. It's the longest event, some as short as, an hour. Uri would be the exception, when the grid was down for, a lot of folks for a long time. I think that was like 3 days. And the site at that point would run on generation.
Okay, great. I'm just gonna, I've got the mic, I'm gonna go for one more.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna need some water. But yeah.
Do you have any requirements for renewable sources for Calpine to do renewable sources or along those lines?
So the grid is mixed already, right? So there's a mix of wind, solar, a bunch of renewables that are on the grid. The Calpine gas plant is base load for the grid, so I really can't speak for Calpine, but I mean I know there is, in conversations, they're looking at a lot of carbon capture for a lot of the gas generation facilities. So while it would not be renewable, it would have a much smaller, if zero kind of carbon impact. That's not in place today. But when we do pull from the grid, we'll be against that mix of renewables that are there.
Robert Payne, that's P-A-Y-N-E, not P-A-I-N, please. I have a question on the water. I know you say it's circulation and all that. I'm sure you're aware, or you may not be, but it doesn't matter. But Bosque County is going to be out of water, groundwater, in 35 years. So my question to you, you say you're going to have water for 3 or 4 houses. What size well are you going to be asking for? Only one well? Multiple? Because I don't mind telling you, there's rumors that you're going to be asking for 4 to 6 wells of 200-gallon capacity. So that throws a red flag to me about 3 houses. So could you dispel the rumors, and are you going to only want one well at 17 gallons a minute, or 20 gallons, or what are you going to be asking for?
So I don't know the exact count. There will be multiple wells, but only for redundancy, not for capacity. And that is really so that we have water service to that site 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because it needs to operate like that. I don't have the well permit information. I know, I did speak to our environmental people on the way down. The wells are going to be metered, and we will be limited to a certain amount based on what we said. I think the limit that they worked around was 18 gallons per person as kind of statutory limit. And like I said, the wells will be metered for consumption. And because of that, we're actually going to fill the recirculating water from off-site sources.
Okay, I guess my question would be, if it's only for that, why would you be asking for multiple wells? Explain that to me, multiple wells, and can you find out the capacity what you're going to be applying for?
Yeah, I believe it was 500,000 gallons was the maximum capacity.
Hey John, I don't know anything about water, but I do know what you told me before is that with these data centers, if there's anything important to a data center, is that it can't cut down, it can't shut down for 1/10 of a second. And so my guess is the reason why you have, as you said, they can't take a risk that water's not delivered. And so you've got to have multiple wells just in case one well doesn't work, so that you have another one there. So there's no chance that these data, because if the data centers don't operate for like even a second, your clients are.
Yeah, that's right. It's really, if there's multiple wells in that permit, it's for redundancy, and that's it.
Okay, so you won't have storage tanks?
No, sir. The storage tanks will be I mean, fire protection, maybe? Yeah, well, just for fire protection.
Okay. So, Claire, you will not be asking for large wells of multiple wells at a large capacity?
Like I said, I believe, and we'll confirm it, 500,000 gallons was the limit.
Okay, that's volume, but I'm talking about well production capacity of 200 gallons a minute, or 100 gallons a minute, or 25 gallons a minute.
I just don't know.
Okay.
I'll find out for you. But, I mean, I think the important piece here, and I think the water usage is a big point. We don't use evaporative cooling, right? That is, when people talk about data centers using a lot of water, that's what it is. People use evaporative cooling for data centers. It's millions of gallons of water a day. That is not the cooling system we use. Like I said, the only water usage inside that facility is going to be bathrooms, sinks, people making coffee, and I think we're actually going to have no irrigation at the site as well. We're going to be using reclaimed water for that. So we actually have some data centers today in high risk areas that are net zero water positive. So we could actually look at this site as well because we don't use a lot of water. And it's independent of, I guess, how many wells are going to get drilled. And I think the water authority was very strict about, listen, we're going to be metered on our well. It's going to be checked, and that's really the best we can do there. What? So can I ask you a question? Why is Bosque County going to run out of water in 35 years?
I'll be happy to address that because Middle Trinity has got data showing that we are going to run out of water in 30 to 35 years. And I personally can vouch for that because I have public water supplies. Every time I pull a pump every 5 years, it drops 7 feet a year. I've never had to take pipe off. I've always had to add pipe. So you do that math, it correlates my personal with the Middle Trinity. And so you do the math at 7 feet a year, 30, 35 years, we will. And you can ask all kinds of geologists and our data, and it will prove that.
But that has nothing to do with data centers. That just has to do
No, but it
the
has
water
something
level
to do
going
with
down.
water usage. That's what I was asking about your water usage.
Yeah, but so I'm telling you, we don't use very much.
I know. That's why I wanted to verify.
Yeah, okay.
Because the rumor was you was gonna have some 200 gallon wells, 6 to 8 wells, and if you're dispelling that, then that's what I need to know.
Yep. Yeah. Yes, sir. It is. It will be metered. Like I said, there will be multiple wells, and really just for redundancy of those buildings. Each building that gets built needs to operate completely independent of the other building with redundancy.
Arlena Sharp, Arlettia, and there's no E on Sharp, just SHARP. Question number 1, where are you going to get your water from the outside source to fill your cooler or whatever?
So we actually contract out to the companies who come out and fill up pools. So they fill up those tanks. I don't know where we're going to contract for it, and they bring it in a tanker truck.
The $70 million in taxes, is that over the lifetime of the data center, or are you just going to sit and write us a check on the first day for $70 million, which I doubt? But is that going to be like over a period of time? I don't know how that works. Just curious.
Yeah, it's over a period of time.
And you don't know how long or how short?
Yeah, the tax revenue will come. I mean, the projections are we're using like a level, but that's assuming that the tenants don't increase the value of their property. So if I were to guess, we'll probably go up over time because we all know technology gets more expensive over time. And then after the 10 years, the only change in that number will be the county abatement will go away. All the other jurisdictions are fully taxable anyway, so it should continue for the, like we say, expected life of the project, which we expect to be at least 30 years.
Hello, I'm Billy Wren. live in Clifton, Texas. I want to go back to the Calpine. You mentioned 400 megawatts is what you guys signed up for. All right, so you have a closed loop system. All right, so just say that Calpine withdraws 10 to 20%. That's 2.7 to 5 million gallons of water that they will have to use to provide you 400 megawatts. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I really can't speak for Calpine. You really have to.
Do we have a Calpine representative here?
I don't believe we do.
Okay, well that's where the water's going to go.
Well, isn't that plant running already, sir?
Off and on. And I doubt it's running at 400 megawatts.
It's actually running at 800 megawatts today. And you can look that up. It's all public information. I don't know how much water they use, though. That is a base load combined cycle gas generation facility that is online 80% of the time. I want to be transparent, but like we should talk about the facts.
My name is Joe Hunter, and I live 3,000 feet from the property line of the second phase. It's good to know that you have said that it would be like a library in my backyard. My question is, you have phase 1 and you have phase 2. When will you start phase 3 and phase 4? Because I hear that that's what you're doing.
There's no schedule for phase 3 and phase 4 because there's no other additional utility capacity at this point. If we do, we will come back to the county and come back to the citizens of Clifton to talk about it.
So if you do, and I live 3,000 feet away, will it be more noisy or less noisy?
It'll be the same. So that requirement, so when we design the data centers, we go through a very extensive sound study, right? So every piece of equipment running, chillers, generators when they run, and what the impact is. That 50 dB limit is what we designed for, no matter how big the facility is.
Okay. But there is the possibility of phase 3 and 4.
There is the possibility, but it is really dependent on utility capacity. And I'll tell you today, additional utility capacity to support a data center of phase 3 and phase 4 could be 3 to 5 years, maybe more.
And how long will it take to construct those? Because I have a tremendous amount of construction noise. It's louder than the Calpine plant.
I apologize for the construction noise. The construction will typically go on for about 1.5 years to 2 years.
From now?
It's ongoing right now. We started back in December, end of December.
Okay. Hunter.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, my name is Justin Vaughn, VAUGHN. My question is on the property taxes. So I live in Laguna Park, pretty close to where y'all are at, and the tax rate's about 1.2% for that area, about. And y'all were mentioning that y'all's building, is that for phase 1 or phase 2, that's about $1 billion, so that should bring in about 10 million in taxes per year, give or take. Is that correct?
Let the tax guys take that one.
Thank you.
So generally in Texas, you don't get property tax based on the value of the building, you get on it based on the assessed value of the building. Generally, for data centers, it's between $350 and $500 per square foot. So it depends on how big the building is. The builds for this particular site are about 240,000 per building, and the first 2 phases are
4 buildings.
4 buildings. So you have an assessment on about 960,000 square feet at about $500 per square foot times your tax rate. So that gets you to closer to 10 million, yes.
Okay. I was just trying to help answer his question. Thank you.
Hi, it's Eden, E-D-E-N-S, like the garden with an S.
I keep looking to the wrong side.
And that's the problem with speakers, right? I have actually just one super question, but I figured I might as well ask the other one on here. We all live out here, I'm sure, because I like seeing the stars. What's your guys' plan on lighting up this facility for 24 hours a day?
So all of the lighting is all engineered down lighting. And this is super important, right?
Yes, it is.
So it's all engineered down lighting. I've confirmed, I've been through this with my engineers. But the key here, this is the key, right? And this is the reason we're here. The construction noise, I completely understand, it'll be over soon. If something is not right, like, we're here to go fix it.
Yes, sir.
Right? So if we're operational and it's like, man, lights are too loud, that light's pointing out into the street, it's not supposed to go past the property line, and it's supposed to be all down lighting. But the key here is if something's wrong, if something's noisy, if you hear something that you didn't hear before, or you can't see the stars, like, call us. We're not going anywhere. I am not going anywhere.
Sure. I'm guessing you probably don't live out in the middle of nowhere like we do, but
Well, no, this is important because I was in Jack County this morning.
Yeah, it's like a bulb of light. You know what I mean?
I was in Jack County this morning, which is a rural place. I'm a landowner there.
Okay.
I completely understand what it looks like to look at the stars when I'm not inside Fort Worth. So I get it. But the key here is this: we have a ton of lessons learned. We've done this a long time, all over the world. So, like, we believe this is what we know what we have to do. But if something isn't right, like, that's why we're here, right? We're here to answer the questions. We're just getting started. There's a lot of negative news about data centers. I mean, it's one of the main reasons I'm here, to dispel some of that stuff and to answer some of the questions. But once we're done and the construction's done and the thing's operating, if something's wrong, you call us.
John, can I mention one thing about CyrusOne? Because I do think it's important when you are, we're a partner with you. There's data centers are hot right now. Every, private equity firm, business, client that I have, they want to build a data center. And they don't have any really particularly experience, but they see it as a money-making opportunity. Okay, so data centers are coming. They are. But I think one of the things that's really good news is that this data center is being built by a company that has been in the business in terms of this business, literally forever. And it's very focused. I've seen it, very focused on delivering a product that the community is happy with. They view themselves being a partner. It's not a private equity firm that's doing this one deal and they're out. They don't really have, this is all you do is what you've done for 25 years is what you're going to do for another many, many years. And so I think that in terms of who your partner is, I think that you couldn't do really any better than CyrusOne.
Well, sure, that's nice of you to say. How about the roading that's around there? A lot of us use that road that you guys are on. I mean, I realize you guys said that you're not using the water. It's weird that you put the facility right by a lake and a river, but that's not my question.
No, that's important. So on that point, we just went next to the power plant.
Got it.
Okay. So the power plant was there. The power plant was built next to a river and a lake.
Okay.
Right? We're doing the same kind of project in Freestone, right? We're just going towards the power.
So you guys like to get the power first. I know
Yeah,
that.
that's it. That's
the really main thing. I get it. The road that goes by there. What's the impact tax-wise on us for the expansion of that and going around? Because obviously they're changing a lot of the facility, and you guys are going to have a lot of going ins and outs. It's not going to be, once you guys set up and you were in your closed water system, that everybody just lives there, right? So, what is your plan on that traffic pattern, and how is that going to be fixed?
So, construction will be the busiest time for traffic.
Okay.
I mean, there will be, there could be upwards of 800 to 1,000 people working there. So that is the main focus for the traffic right now. And it's a big deal, right? I mean, we are looking at properties that are closer to the interstate, where we could bus some folks in, like there's a ton of construction workers. Once the site's operational, 40 to 80 people, okay? Those 40 to 80 people work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So it's not like 80 people show up at 9 o'clock in the morning. They work in shifts. So the traffic on that road should not be that bad. I mean, and I want to be completely honest with you. So, I mean, what happens, you have this staff that comes in. Every once in a while, you're going to have, deliveries that come in a semi. But it's really the initial construction and the initial fit out of the tenant. So once we finish building this building, right, the tenant's going to move in. And the tenant's going to show up with all of this personal property that we just talked about, hundreds of millions of dollars of it. And it's all going to come in semi-trucks. And it's going to come one after another. So during that time, it's really important. Like, we work with emergency services in the county and the sheriff's department, tech stop if we have to kind of control that traffic. But it is a real thing. And I'm not going to say it's not. But once it's operational, traffic's really should not be an issue.
So just 2 more years of traffic.
What's that?
Just 2 more years of traffic.
We're trying to do as much as we can.
Okay.
Like I said, Erica's sitting here in front. I mean, she's actually looking at property right off 35 right now,
Okay.
where we could park a bunch of folks and just take buses in. Because logistically, it's tough for us too. Because I mean, we want guys to start working at 7 o'clock in the morning. If they're spending an hour sitting in traffic, it's not productive for us or them. So we're looking at that stuff. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Edens, what was your first name?
Oh.
Dave.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sue Kim, and I'll make it easy for you. My last name is K, spelled K-I-M, and I'm from Womack. I have a couple of questions for you. So the elephant in the room, I think, for most folks here is Bosque County, as you know, is a small rural community. Why did CyrusOne choose a small town like ours instead of like a large metro area?
So it's very important, and so data centers are coming, as Jeff said. It's part of our everyday life. But like our lives would not work without data centers. Whether you're a rural farmer or you're an investment banker in New York City, everything that happens inside a data center. Whether it's your medical records, social media, your electric bill, probably your tax bill, sits in a data center somewhere. So the data centers are getting larger, and the power requirements are getting larger. And really, what's happened is we're kind of going towards the energy infrastructure and larger scale sites that just don't exist inside major metropolitan areas anymore. So that's really what's driving it. What drove Bosque specifically was the combination of the power, and it's relatively close to Dallas from a fiber optic perspective and a latency perspective. And that allows that site to be used for multiple things. AI, cloud services, enterprise workloads, things like that.
No,
We're not trying to be a nuisance. I think we're going to be sitting on 200 acres here across how many acres are in Bosque County? It's a very small piece of the county. We're going to do everything we can to be as nondescript as we possibly can once we're done with construction. And very low impact to the community.
I just feel like it's disruptive from the environment that Bosque County has already established with the people and the families. I mean, I'm in technology myself. I've been in technology for 25 years, still into it. So I know about data centers. I know it's needed for social media. I totally get that. But I feel like it's disrupting the environment that's been already built by these folks here today and the families. So also, I have another question. Are there any other locations in the county, like outside of Laguna Park, being planned in the near future?
None by CyrusOne. I can't speak for any other data center company. None that I personally know of, but none by CyrusOne.
Okay.
My name is David Clemens, Clemens.
There you go.
I'm from Meridian. I think we all agree that data is important, whether it's social media or your bank account, data that you use at work. What is being done to protect that data in the construction of the facility and its operation from natural disasters or whatever? I think the term is hardening the site.
So we look at a couple things during site selection. It's not prone, this area is not prone to natural disasters. Buildings are designed to withstand tornadoes. We don't expect any hurricanes here. There's no seismic activity. So relatively safe environment for a data center. Like I said, Cyrus operates 20 data centers across Texas. There's probably 300 to 400, maybe more already in the state of Texas. And that's driven by a bunch of things, right? The state incentives to do this, energy, regulatory environment. From a security perspective, the site we have 24/7 security. The site is fenced in. Obviously, there's lighting to protect it. 5 levels of security actually to get into the actual data center itself where the servers are. Kind of mandated by CyrusOne and our customers. It's all biometric. And 30 years of doing this, never had a security incident. It's what you see on TV with like Mission Impossible doesn't really happen. All the servers, all the data that's stored in these facilities is all encrypted. So even if a person was to physically walk in and walk out with a bunch of servers, they really can't do anything with them. The biggest risk to data is really cyber events that actually happen outside the facility, across the network. Did I answer all that? Because I had a little bit of a hard time hearing you. Okay.
Steve Carr again, over here in the corner, except I'm shifting tables. I'm headed towards my county officials. So we've known for maybe a year that these fellows are coming, and we got about a year before they're completed and our tax revenues began to roll in at a fairly significant pace. And I haven't seen anything in the agendas of the last year, and I checked before I came in the last couple of months just to make sure I didn't just put my foot in my mouth. What planning has been done, thinking has been done with respect to the use of this revenue, and if none, when can we start to see that kind of thinking across the table in the County Commissioner's Court? Because there are, just immediately off the top of my head, there's 2 principal uses. One is to fix everything that needs to be fixed, and the second one is to use that money to reduce the budgets of the associations so that our tax rates can fall dramatically farther down. So I'd like to know, what have we done? And if nothing, what are we going to do?
First of all, I'd like to say that there have been no communications amongst ourselves. However, we have communicated with Jeff Snowden, who is our consultant for all things tax abatement. So, Jeff.
Hi, Jeff Snowden, CapEx Resources. You nailed the issue that you're going to face. In 2025, the county could tax on $3.9 billion of certified value after exemptions. I'm calculating that these 2 phases will add $4.8 billion to the tax roll. So you're at 3.9 today, adding 4.8. That is up for discussion. That's a function also of the server value, which they're going to be attracting with their tenants. If you look at Bosque County in the current budget, they've adopted a budget of around $12 million. And if you look historically, they've brought their tax rate down every year from 2017 forward down by about 4% a year. So you've got already really good stewardship. So unless the county chooses to grow that budget very aggressively, you'd have to have some compelling reasons why you would grow it that aggressively. The only action the county can take is to drastically lower the tax rate. I forecast some reduction in it, and I'm not comfortable sharing how drastic I think it's going to drop, because it depends on the timing of the servers, because they might make up 75% of the taxable value. They're building in electromechanical about 25%. So we have big questions, but unless your county grows this $12 million a year budget tremendously, which of course is a function of your approval as voters, the only action to be taken is to let that tax rate drop. Does that answer your question, sir?
It focuses on what the future might look like. I have an issue with this repetitive statement by our taxing authorities that they're so proud of the fact that they dropped our tax rates. And yet you will not find a soul, not a living soul in this county that thinks their taxes have gone down. Our taxes are not going down. And yet we have this value. I appreciate the fact you decrease the tax rate, but you're not decreasing our taxes. And we have these gentlemen over here, and now you've supported that, in effect, our taxable assessed value is going to double in a short period of time. Not only that, but if you look at the balance sheet of this county, it's sitting on, I can't even make it out. I can't really figure out what all those things are, but it's somewhere between $10 and $20 million in cash, just in cash. So all of that, Mr. CapEx guy, I'm really glad you're here. And I don't mean to be in a pejorative. I'm glad, I don't know what else to call you. I forgot your name.
Jeff.
Jeff. Okay, Jeff. My point is, can we please take this incredible gift of this revenue and all this money that we're sitting on and use it to spend on the needs of this county so that the people here don't need to keep filling that coffer with money every year? I would suspect I'm going to find out if there's going to be an excess from 25, but I think I've been told that there is going to be an excess from 25, and we just keep building it up. So I just encourage you, now that I get actually a chance to have a conversation in a public forum with the people who are doing this, that this county actually is fairly affluent right now. It is getting ready to be ridiculously affluent. Can we please use that to lower our taxes, not the rate, lower our taxes? Thank you.
Hey, I'd like to chime in on that, Steve. So, while we have not, I'm going to go back to that old wait till the chickens hatch before you count them analogy, because we haven't actually seen any of this money yet. We know it's coming. So here's what has kept me agonizing over this. We're going to get, it's going to be a windfall of income, that's for sure. But I fear it's going to be a little bit like an oil and gas lease, where you kind of need to pay attention, because the first year royalty will probably be the best year royalty you ever get. Lowering the tax rate is a great idea, but you have to weigh that against the fact that if we cut everybody's property tax rate, then that means we cut their property tax rate as well and make a better deal for them. The abated value against the rate comes off them. When they wear out, use up, I think it's going to be a combination. I really don't want to dedicate any money to a recurring expense, but if we could do some capital improvements, pavement, for example, and blend that with the reduction in taxes and not go all in one way or another. Improve some services, take care of some expenditures that are a one-time deal. Don't go hire somebody on this year's windfall that we have to fire 5 years down the road, because the depreciation is taking a bit of a toll on it. Because the first year will be a jackpot. The second year is going to, correct me if I'm wrong, second year is going to tail off a bit, and then it'll be a fairly steady rate of depreciation for the life of the project.
Well, for the shell, it'll be depreciated over 39 or 40 years consistently. But for the equipment, it's going to get refreshed. So, yeah, it might depreciate out in 3 to 5 years, depending upon what they're putting in there, but they're going to have to put new equipment in there every 3 to 5 years. So I wouldn't say that it just goes like on a downward slope. It's going to bump up and down.
I'm happy for you to spend the money in arrears, like in 1 year arrears. If you gotta catch it and collect it, then spend it, or cut the tax rate. Collect the next year, look at it again. I generally agree with your approach. You can't go all in, because if you lower the tax rates dramatically and then have to go back up, there's gonna be an insurrection. So, but gladly you have Jeff there, and he's the kind of guy that can figure out all that.
I want to toss a little analogy out too, because you're right. Everybody, including myself, pays, our taxes are up. The check that we write is up. But it is true that over the last 11 years, we've gone from a 47.5% or 47.5 cent rate to a 34 cent rate. And over I'm going to go 20 years, because in 2006, I bought the only new pickup I ever owned and paid 7.25% sales tax, I think, on it. If I go buy the same pick, it costs $22,000, I paid 7.5% sales tax. If I go buy the same pickup today and it costs $65,000, I'm going to pay 7.5% sales tax on the truck. And although we have not managed to keep taxes as flat as we all would like to keep them, I feel like you should give us a little credit for trying, because we've certainly done better than everything that we buy costs more, and we're the only one that has really lowered the tax rate, the rate that you're paying on it. Fair enough?
Still got all that money.
Hi, I'm Jay Brown, I'm in Iredale, Texas. Thank you all for being here this evening to answer questions. You mentioned earlier, I believe you estimate the square footage of phase one to be in the 240,000 square feet. An average rainfall of about 36 inches a year in Bosque County. Have you considered any rainwater catchment aspects to your buildings that could be utilized to mitigate the use of your wells?
We haven't, but we can.
Okay.
Is it really 36 inches of rain here a year? Not this year.
It usually all comes at once.
Yeah.
Hi there, my name is Sam Shaw. I'm a reporter with the Waco Bridge, and I've got a somewhat dusty housekeeping question here, but when the cooling system is recharged, is the old coolant trucked out?
So what's inside the cooling loop is just water. It's just kind of regular water. There's, we don't typically drain it. I mean, that water could stay in there for, 15 years. I mean, maybe longer. The only time that water would get actually replaced is if there was some sort of, rust issue or something where we couldn't filter. But that water's treated with like antimicrobial treatment, so it doesn't create bacteria. But it pretty much stays in that system. I know here in Texas we all have furnaces, but like in the Northeast, like if you had a hydronic heating system with baseboards, that water pretty much goes in there and stays in there. So we have, if we did, I mean, it would go into our own septic system, I guess, or we would probably truck it out because the septic system couldn't support it. But not something we've contemplated, not something we typically do.
So there's no process effluent that's interacting with the Brazos watershed whatsoever?
No, sir.
Okay. And this is just a little nerdy, but I was talking to one of the workers at the site, and they mentioned that the cooling system used ethylene glycol, which is like the primary chemical in antifreeze. So this isn't like super common or anything, but I was just wondering if you could kind of break down how that works.
Yeah, so there's two levels to the cooling system. So this is nerding out for everybody here. The base cooling system is chilled water. And that's the loop we talk about filling up with water. For the high density servers that some of these customers are deploying, there's a separate cooling loop that is like the secondary or technical loop. That loop is pretty much proprietary liquid because that liquid actually has to run through the server. And NVIDIA, for everybody who trades any stock, Those servers require a certain, and it is propylene glycol. Much smaller volume because it's really the stuff that's running through the servers. But yeah, isolated inside that data center, and it completely depends on the server technology that they deploy.
Can I ask a follow-up? Was there anybody else? I didn't want to. Okay. I'm still doing my homework. This industry is moving very fast, even for somebody who's kind of paid to read about stuff all the time. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about chip depreciation and the county side, how that kind of fits into the property appraisal. I know in Clinton kind of get a clawback mechanism basically if an entity requests a tax abatement, but it continues to lose value. Basically, they're still required to pay back after the fact. Sounds like you guys are already kind of having open discussions about the chip depreciation problem. Could you go into a little more detail about that?
Probably not as much as you need, so the tenant would have to. So Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong. So the tenant has to go for their own abatement.
Yeah, the tenant would negotiate its own abatement. In Texas, the abatement agreements have to all have the same term inside the same reinvestment zone, so they would have to go with this 30%. There are ways that they can negotiate a different way, but that's at least the baseline to start with.
So we don't know if our tenant has actually reached out to the county yet. Jeff would know, Mr. CapEx guy. Yeah, so they haven't even reached out to the county yet. Like the stuff we're talking about, CyrusOne, the numbers we're talking about. I mean, you could search on the internet, right? Like anybody could search up what does it cost to build a data center per megawatt. Everything's in megawatts, right? What is a typical hyperscaler deploy per megawatt inside a data center on a value basis? The servers, I mean, they're no different. I mean, you're researching this stuff, right? Sometimes those depends on what they're using the server for, right? They may depreciate that thing over 3 years. They may replace it in 18 months and go deploy it somewhere else for something else. So it definitely depends on the customer and what they're using it for. The NVIDIA chips specifically, they're making huge advancements all the time. And for some of these companies, it's a bit of an arms race, right? Where they want to have the latest and greatest technology. So, but listen, I mean, if you're a reporter and you're digging into it, I mean, we'd be happy to connect and dig in if you guys come up with more questions and,
Good evening. My name is Al Poteet. That's spelled Poteet. First of all, I just wanted to thank the team from CyrusOne. Very good meeting, very informative, much appreciated. Some of the questions I had have already been answered, so thank you for that. And for the county team, I just want to compliment you all for having this town hall meeting. Unfortunately, one thing that springs to mind is locking the barn door after the horse is bolted. I would suggest, as we have discussed before, that it would be handy if we could have this kind of town hall meeting prior to tax abatements or even the negotiations, so the folks can get the information ahead of time and communicate with their elected officials, so maybe we won't have quite as much misinformation on social media, et cetera, et cetera. So thank you, gentlemen, very much, and I hope you all will continue having town hall meetings prior to future negotiations with data centers or solar farms. Thank you.
Just to respond to that, the statute required us before the county designated the reinvestment zone, we did conduct a public hearing. It wasn't a town hall, but we did publish in the newspaper, sent certified letters out to all tax entities, and did conduct a public hearing per statute.
Hey, it's Dave one more time. So you guys are a big building, and the tenants that move in, you guys, they just plug in and put in their own stuff? Or, yes, sir. Okay, who polices the people, the tenants?
Us. There's a long list of rules and regulations that they have to follow.
And that's policed by, do you have an oversight that's above you? I've seen a lot of people that own buildings that let people come in and don't do what was promised. So I just was wondering, how do you maintain the integrity of where you guys are going with it?
So, I mean, it's interesting, but I mean, it's not like an Airbnb, right?
Sure.
I mean, these people are signing 15-year leases with us. They're investment-grade tenants. They take what happens inside that facility as serious as we do. But we do police it. There's rules and regulations. I mean, they would be in breach of contract if that happened. You know, I'll tell you what the biggest thing is that we actually get issues on is cardboard, right? So, fire protection, insurance, like you can't have cardboard inside the data center. And somebody comes in and that's probably the biggest thing that comes up. But yeah, I mean, we police it. There's no regulatory body for a data center, for data centers in general. There's standards that we all kind of live and operate by. Our tenants expect us to do that. You know, we have to do that. We expect them to do what they need to do. But it's not like a hospital or even a power plant where there's kind of higher level regulatory requirements.
But you have an on-site regulatory department?
I mean, we have governance. I mean, our operations staff is there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Nobody's there just on their own at all.
Okay. Thank you very much.
No problem. I like your questions. Keep them coming.
Okay.
Patrick J. Giri, J-R-E-I-J-I-R-I. Good luck with that. I have two questions. I can... J-R-E-I-J-I-R-I. I have two questions. You said that the facility has 5 layers of security.
That's right.
Is it gonna look like Supermax, prison with fences, or is it gonna look like a Walmart parking lot, or are you gonna at least have a fence of trees all the way around? Because driving in Bosque County is very beautiful. You have the rolling hills, the trees and everything. Is it gonna be an eyesore driving by there? Are we gonna cuss you every time we pass by there? Or are we gonna be like, oh, I wonder what's in there?
So we actually spent a lot of time talking to the county and the commissioner's court about the landscaping. So there will be a fence. There will not be armed security at this site right now. If the government told us we needed to put armed security here, we would. Some data centers do have them. None of ours do. There's federal data centers that do have armed security. But you'll see a fence, and we're going to landscape in front of that fence. We've committed to sharing the landscaping plan. You know, if you drive by the site, phase 1 is actually down kind of in a hole. Like, we dug down pretty far. So from the road, like, you're really just going to see a fence and, like, the roof and landscaping. Like I said, you know, we don't want to make it an eyesore. Customers don't want to make it an eyesore. We really want to be nondescript as possible. But like I said earlier, if you guys aren't happy with something, like, we're making a huge investment here. You know, we'll do what we can to fix it.
All right. And my second question, thank you.
But on the 5 layer, like back to the 5 layers of security. So it's like the gate, then there's a main door, then there's another door, and there's another door, and they're all biometrics and all that kind of stuff. It's on our website, actually, you can check it out.
Okay. My second question is, I'm from a manufacturing background. I know with the one big beautiful bill, there's 100% depreciation on manufacturing facility from year 1. How does that, I'm not an expert on data centers, does that affect data centers, and is that going to affect the valuation of the taxes, county taxes instead of?
Yeah, it won't really impact our depreciation or the calculation of taxes.
How you doing? My name's Matt Powell. Just had one question. When you say the numbers, it was 500,000 gallons of water a year, is that correct?
That was the limit we're going in for.
Is that per facility?
That's for phase 1.
Phase 1, okay.
Yep.
And how many buildings are in phase 1?
2.
2, okay. And just to go back to Mr. Boutique, I personally went to the county court office and asked for more information when there was first a public notice in the paper, and I was only met with confused faces and not a whole lot of words, because the answer I got back when I asked about it was, we can't say anything because we're under an NDA. So I'm not sure how we can do a public service or a public notice over a project going on, come to the courthouse, ask for more information.
Yeah, so
And
I actually,
so, excuse me real quick. So my point is if there's better transparency, then you can mitigate all the extra rumors and things. So, thank you.
So I actually got a note on this. Okay, so I'm not aware, so I'm president of the company, I'm not aware of any signed NDAs, and I would have been the one who signed them, any government officials. What I can tell you is we are still in the development process, and still filing for some of these permits, and some of the requirements around how we're gonna meter it. We also have to watch the level, the watershed level as part of this permit, which our design team is actually working on what that's going to look like, how it's monitored, and how we're going to bring that information to the water district.
All right, thank you. So then, to follow up on that, my next question would be with the county judge. That was in your office this conversation took place.
Yes, sir, I was fixing to address that. The NDA was not to release information prior to the presentation done in court. So it was not a written, it was verbal. They wanted to be able to present in court to everyone prior to everything being released, so that the documents that were presented matched what they presented.
Okay, is it my turn? Hi, two of my questions have already been answered. One was about the length of the leases, and I heard that's 15 years. And then how often equipment would be replaced, increasing traffic, and that's like 3 to 5 years. But the real question I have is, you're saying this is going to be like at least a 25 to 30 operational business. So of the data centers you've built over the past 25, 30 years, how many have gone non-operational, and what causes a data center to go non-operational?
I'm going to stand up so I can see you.
Yeah.
So none of our data centers have ever gone non-operational. In the history of data centers, there's probably only been like 1 or 2 that actually have gone non-operational, and it is because the tenant, and these would be smaller facilities in metro areas where the tenant needed to grow bigger than that. But no large-scale data center has ever been, in the history of data centers, and its history is not very long, but typically they don't go anywhere. It's almost like part of the power infrastructure. It'd be like, even Calpine's plant, like that Calpine plant is there, there's been a bunch of infrastructure invested there. They'll probably never leave. They'll probably upgrade it over time. To address the upgrades, so yep, we build it, and there's going to be a huge rush to fill it up and get the construction done. While they do refresh the hardware on a regular basis, it's not a wholesale refresh. It's not like they come in and say, we're going to take everything out and put a whole new in. It's phased, and there will be shipments and semis coming in to do that, but nothing like the day one installation.
Can I just clarify one? I want to clarify just a little bit of confusion on the NDA. You asked a question and we answered it technically, but what the judge said is correct. So the way that economic development negotiations work in Texas is that it's one of the exceptions. There's an Open Records Act which says that you can, most everything that is delivered to a government, it's available to the public. But there's an exception for economic development negotiations, and so even though it's not technically an NDA, but it says that those documents are, if we request that they're not available to the public, and we definitely did not want those documents in the public because we don't want our competitors to know we're considering locating a project, among many other reasons. So I just John was correct that we did not sign a written NDA, but I also don't want to create the impression that we did not talk to the county. We definitely did not want our name in the public before the project was, was approved. So I think both answers were correct.
I'm Craig Godby, Godby. I'm with the city of Alabama. And this might not be the right place for this answer or question, but I've been approached the last 2 weeks about coming through our city with fiber optics, and I assume that it's from the data center.
It's probably a good assumption, and it could be the tenant, and it's an easement to get fiber pulled through.
Yes.
Yeah.
From what I understand, they're coming from the plant, cutting through and hitting 317, and then tying into another data center. Is that going to be countywide? Is that going to happen all over the county, or just that?
It's pretty much a one-time thing. Once they pull that fiber in, it should be done.
Okay.
Yep. But yeah, it's fiber providers. I would assume that's what it is. It's tough to tell, but going out to the plant, I mean, it's the only way that would make sense.
I do want to say thank you, because this does put a lot of things that we've heard the last couple of weeks. A lot.
It's our pleasure.
My name is Daniel Igueravide, Tab, that is Yuerabide. And I wasn't going to say anything, I just came to listen, but the young gentleman here to my left kind of nudged me to get up and say something, because they're usually used to me doing that. A lot of folks here know me, but I wear many hats in the community, as I feel that I get involved as much as I can, but I am speaking on my own tonight under no other hat other than Daniel. I'm sitting here listening, and it just sounds to me that the way the community perceives you is that you're the neighbor that nobody wanted. Is that about right, give or take?
That's pretty offensive.
And I'll get somewhere. Trust me, I'm getting somewhere. I don't consider myself to be a very rude person generally, but
I was just
I'm just kind of thinking of those sitcoms where we live in a peaceful, lovely neighborhood that we invest in, and then the rowdy neighbor comes in, and sometimes that's very uncomfortable, and I understand that. And as an educator, I confront those things with my student of feeling uncomfortable. And in no way this is justifying anyone's points or anything, but I just want to say is that you guys have come up here and you have said that you are our neighbors. You're here to stay for a good while. And as our new neighbors, one thing that we do very well here in this small rural part of Texas and the county is that neighbors help one another. And it doesn't matter if we were in a spat or an argument or if we would disagree, but because we know each other through close proximity, I like to believe that we put down those walls and we have sympathy and we help each other grow. It's not just about they did this or we did that. At the end of the day, the community, our neighbors, help one another. And I think that a lot of the concern that we hear today is not just for ourselves, but just the things that we have built, correct? We're concerned for the things that we have built. There are people here that generationally have had ranches and farms and businesses and property and investments that didn't get a tax cut. They didn't get a tax break. They had to pay it all, and they're still paying for it. There's people that own their home, and they're still paying taxes on it, right? And we know a lot of this stuff has to deal with the legislator, and I won't go into any of that business. But what I want to, I guess a couple of questions and just encourage you is that it seems to us, or it sounds, because I will be answering a lot of these questions for these young guys on the way home, because I think some of this went over their head, but it's important that they're here because it's important for them to learn civics. Like I've seen this young lady over here. It's important to be in the room because you don't really know or learn unless you are there and you are active in it. So that's probably one of the reasons these guys are here. But I want to say this, is that there's been a lot of times where businesses come into places like this, and they say, call us, we're transparent, we want to help. And that is true, they do, when they want something. And we hear that a lot. And I say that respectfully, just across the board, not anyone in particular. I have emailed CyrusOne several times, I've called, and I've gotten zero response. And I have the emails, and I will be glad to share those with you. And I haven't received any response. When I call my neighbors, my true neighbors, I love to hear them pick up the phone or call me back and say, hey, sorry I was busy, what do you need, right? So, good neighbors check on other neighbors, yes? And so I want to encourage you to do that. But two, with all this that we have built, part of that is that you've mentioned a lot about we want to be part of the community, X, Y, and Z. But are you intending on investing further in the communities beyond just the tax and the revenue?
So first of all, I want to know who you emailed and who you called. And
Well,
Erica's right here. I do want to know because we take this super serious. It's important for us. It's real important for our brand. So I want to know who it was, and Erica will find out from you. So you know, the job fair was a big deal for us. For the young folks who are sitting next to you. This is a huge opportunity in this community, right? It gives you guys an opportunity to not leave the place you grew up and still have a very, opportunity to have a career, right, in this field, which has served me very well. I probably was a little bit older than you when I started in this. So that's number one. I believe Clue Construction has actually repaired roofs of some of the restaurants around here to keep them up and running. We want to invest in the community. Like, we think it's important to do that. We are serious about being a good neighbor. But let us know what we can do. I mean, we talk to the county all the time. We can't just cut checks to everybody. I mean, if I could, I would love to just pay everybody's taxes so you guys don't have to worry about it. Just not how it works. But,
well, I will say this, and I know you don't know us, but we know each other. And I look over here, and I see a lot of folks that are involved in a lot of groups that, you know what, if it's a nonprofit group, an organization group, a little league group, basketball group for the kids, there's a lot of things here that when we look at big corporations coming in, a part of us is like, okay, we know they're not just a blank check, but if they're really serious about being involved, they will get involved. They will. And I've seen that many times. I've worked, in all transparency, I have worked in the state and federal governments. I've worked for both legislators here in Texas and the federal government. And I have spoken with these people that they say that, but they really don't. And so what I want to do is encourage you to really be involved in the community. Invest in all these groups that are asking for donations, are asking for support, because we are very limited in what we do here. What our business are, and a lot of them are paycheck to paycheck. And so what I just want to encourage you is that if you're coming to our county and you are our neighbor, I encourage you to please get to know the people, get to know the leadership, get to know the organizations beyond just those that are elected officials. Those people are great. I know a handful of them. I've known them all my life. But there's also people in this room that you guys should get to know that are also making a big difference, and they're also impacting lives beyond the things that we talked about today. And I understand that this forum is mainly informing about the taxes and all this other information, but as the neighbor, one of the neighbors, I just want to say, please get to know us better, get to know our needs and how you can better help us beyond this conversation that we've had tonight. And if you are serious about investing, I also encourage you to please give these two guys a chance right after the meeting, because they're really passionate about a lot of things, and not just for them, but stuff that I think you would be interested in. And I think it would be more properly I just spoke off stage. But once again, I'm just speaking for myself here, and you may agree or not, but if you really want to be our neighbor, we encourage you to get to know us and get to know Bosque County just beyond our resources, because we love those resources too.
Thank you. All I can say is we're just getting started. So Eric is going to hook up with you right after the meeting or soon.
Mr. Snowden, the county paid you $30,000 to advise us on this project. Have you ever been involved in a $4 billion valuation of a data center?
Yes, sir. I've done 6 of them so far.
Okay. My question to you is, comparing Bell County to what you did for Young County, the pilot projects, you did, let's see here, $12.5 million in total benefits and pilot payments of $1.4 million a year. So all I understand that we got from a $4 billion valuation was a $30,000 check and a tax abatement of 30%. I don't see anything other than the job fair, thank you. I don't see anything where we have any infrastructure for our fire departments, any projects at all. It's just seems like, I look at Young County, it's a $265 million project. And if we look at that, this project is 400 times larger than that project. But yet they sure did get a lot. Why did we?
Very good question, sir. Thank you for that question. First of all, Young County has not closed. We had the reinvestment zone hearing this morning. I drove straight from there. So we approved the reinvestment zone. They'll consider that a tax abatement on the 26th of this month. The $264 million was what was on their application. We're actually trading them at $526 because they lowballed us on that. I set that up as a pilot because I know what a megawatt of solar generation is worth tax value, and I know what a megawatt hour of battery storage is worth. This is brand new, and I did not want to set a pilot and lowball, and in 10 years y'all called me and said, Snowden cost us hundreds of millions of dollars. For that reason, I did a suggestion to the county, which they agreed. We did a 30% off while collecting 70% of the full levy. Over time, when these data centers, and I know he's been in it a long time, but it's new for me and new for a lot of us here in the state. Once we understand what the true value is per installed megawatt of data center capacity, I will probably start suggesting pilots to my clients, but I'm not there yet. And with respect to the revenue that will accrue to the benefit of Young County versus the revenue that's coming into Bosque, well, Young County is, well, I can't say because we're not closing on it yet, but the percentages are very comparable, and in both cases they outpace. If you've done any comparison analysis, you don't find another 30% of data center abatement. I know I've closed, Hall County was 75%, Childress County was 70%. They got higher tax rates, so you have to compensate. Y'all have a low tax rate, so we got a much better trade at 30%. I hope that answers your question, and we can connect offline if you'd like to see the spreadsheets and get a little deeper into it.
Hey, Jeff, can I add to that? Yes, sir. So, just because I was part of all these negotiations, we came in for a lot higher percentage than 30%, and said we need, these projects are all economic. There are other counties competing for these projects, and so, the deal, like I said, I've done a number of these deals, and this is by far the lowest exemption we've gotten in any of the projects we're looking at in Texas. So, I think it's a fair so this team that you have on this other side, they did a fantastic job for you in negotiating this deal to get this project. What they delivered to you is the project, which is a lot of revenue over the 10 years plus, and they got it for, frankly, a price that my client wasn't really happy with, to be honest with you.
Jeff McPeak, MCPEEK. If you go on the West Shore Fire Department, y'all have already started up in the community because y'all fixed our air supply for us. So
Thank you.
Appreciate y'all
Thank
being
you, sir.
here. You're welcome. I appreciate y'all being here. Yes, I live a couple of miles from the data center. I hope it looks good when you get done. I helped build the fire plant. I've worked all over the United States building power plants, refineries. Most of them don't look so good. I hope this looks better.
We are way, way prettier than a power plant or a refinery. I promise you that.
To try to help with some of their water, their closed system more than likely going to be demineralized water. They'll have it trucked in. If they decide not to use it, they'll have it trucked back out. They can't just pour it out on the ground. The glycol will be the same thing. Only question I have for this side is, I know when we did the power plant, Clifton got a windfall of money, supposedly.
it wasn't Calpine that owned it. The funds for the school was mismanaged, because from what I understand, then we had to keep going back and doing, help us out, help us out. Can we take part of this and spread it to our other schools, not just one school, to try to help out the rest of the county?
Sir, I don't think that the county unfortunately could make a budgeted contribution to another tax entity. We'd have to, and Jeff, you might correct me on that, but I think the county's mandate is to fund county services and not subsidize other taxing entities. Although I like your idea, I don't think they could do it.
Man, I don't have any info on that. I don't think I have anything to add on my knowledge base.
Tim Thompson, I've got a property over in Laguna Park and on the other side of the river. Appreciate you guys being here. First question is, how much water does it take to fill up the closed loop?
Each building takes about 220 to 250,000 gallons. So, you know, the comparison is a municipal size swimming pool, which is like what it would take. And like I said, that we are actually going to truck that water in.
Understood. And with you having 20 across the state, how many of those have ever failed that you've had to dump it out or had to repair and fill it back up again?
So in my 15 years at CyrusOne, and before that, we've never had to do that. Yeah, I mean, never. What we do is that water goes in, it's cleaned, it's filtered, it's treated. So Jeff mentioned it, but like these things can't go down. So when these customers sign a lease with us, part of that lease is the data center has to operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no questions asked. Every second of downtime is actually, we have to pay the customer. So in no world would we ever drain that loop, because then the data center would have no cooling, which is probably the main reason why this has never happened.
Understood. Thank you. How about the consumption of water for the construction?
So the construction water, I mean, we are using water for construction. I don't know how much, but it's, you know, construction water. I mean, the concrete's getting mixed somewhere else, so that's for that. There's dust control, there's things like that. I mean, it's probably, most of the water's probably going to dust control, I would think, out there right now.
Do we know where it's coming from?
I don't know where it's coming from. It might be coming from Calpine, I'm not sure. I think for a while we were trucking water in, I don't know for sure.
When 2 phases are completed, you will be at what you stated utility capacity. Can you expand on that? What utilities are going to be at capacity?
There's 2 kind of numbers in the data center. So it's the capacity for the servers. So we'll be at 288 megawatts for the servers. And then the additional capacity is for the cooling infrastructure to cool those servers. So it's for about 400 megawatts worth of total capacity. And that would be a full utilization. So more or less, they would have to use 100% of that capacity all the time, which is not typical, but it needs to be there in case they want to. So the total number for the entire phase 1 and phase 2 is 400 megawatts in total.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate you guys being here. This is towards the county. This is to the county with the public having concerns about Calpine. Are we going to have any type of follow-up with them to see what their plans are to make sure they're meeting their needs and then also the communities? And I got one more after that. That's it.
Well, first I'll apologize for not reaching out to Calpine. I didn't realize we needed to have them here for this. It was just intended to answer the questions for CyrusOne. If that is something that we need to do, then absolutely I can reach out to them and see if we can get them to do the same.
Okay, thank you. And last question. The county has the the tenant reached out to the county about tax abatements, and then this is just kind of an oddball question. I understand it's giving abatements, and I understand the whole process, but we don't have to do that, or as big of an abatement to the tenant, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
The tenants have not reached out to the county at all. And if you don't mind, the abatements that were given prior to me taking office were anywhere from 70 to 100%. The highest abatement that has been granted since I took office is 30%.
Ma'am, Nick Hamels, did you have a question? I saw your hand up. Oh, okay.
Hi guys. Amy Teal. I'm a council member across the river over in Polk County and the city of Whitney. We're about 9 miles away from the data center. So I've gotten a lot of questions about the impact this will have on the grid for us over there, as well as groundwater, because we use our wells. And I've been taking a few notes, so I'd like to do a little bit of cleanup question. I promise it's only 1 page and it's not in an 8-point font. So as a council member, I reached out to CyrusOne when I was hearing about this, and I did get a response to my email. I hope that was not because I was a council member and asking in my capacity as a council member. So yes, if you guys do email CyrusOne, make sure you openly copy somebody else on that email. It's a good little tip for any public information request you make. The next thing I'd like to ask is that you each, real quick, introduce yourselves and your title. I don't think we did that at the very beginning.
I'll go ahead. So John Hayden, President of CyrusOne.
I'm Jeff Doyle. I'm an attorney at Haynes Boone in Dallas and represent CyrusOne.
Eric Levan, Vice President and Global Head of Tax at CyrusOne.
Jeff Snow from CapEx Resources, Principal of CapEx Resources.
Who's the...
Ronnie Lerden, Commissioner, Precinct 4.
Cindy Van Landingham, Bosque County Judge.
Terry Downley, Commissioner, Precinct 2.
Tab Ferguson, County Clerk.
All right, thank you very much. You mentioned phases, and I know that there was an October 21, 2024 video that is still on the Bosque County Court website if anybody wants to go watch that, where you kind of discuss phases. Could you give a quick, 3-long sentence overview of each phase real quick?
Sure. So and you guys jump in here if I got this wrong, because we have talked about different phases. There are 2 phases. Phase 1 consists of 2 buildings. Each of those buildings is 72 megawatts each of IT, more or less 100 megawatts total of utility capacity. Phase 3 is 3 buildings. I'm sorry, phase 3. Apologies. Phase 2, there's no phase 3. Phase 2 is 3 buildings, 36 megawatts, and 72 megawatts. So one building is actually split, opposed to being combined into one building. So those are the 2 phases. Those are the phases that are under construction right now. And that is all we have planned. I mean, there are some master plans of what could fit on the land, but that is completely governed by the utility capacity to the site.
Thank you. And you have mentioned a couple of times, just call us. At what number should people reach you? I did see that on the CyrusOne.com website, which does have a lot of information. The contact us button is for customer support.
Erica.
Yeah, so after this meeting, we'll publish, there's a microsite dedicated specifically to this development. So there's already a questionnaire on there of what we've been asked via email and just what we've seen on social media I'm also taking notes of all the questions that are being asked today, so these questions will also be answered on that microsite. And so we'll publish that. We'll give the county the website so you can publish it on your site. It's on our website. And then for questions, we do have a 1-800 number that you could call, but I think email's probably better. It's communities@cyrusone.com. I also have my business card that I can give to anybody that is requesting it. But the microsite is going to give you information about the development, about the timeline, and the questions about the water, the lights, kind of any questions that you guys have asked today and moving forward. We'll continuously update that website on where we are in the process and any updates that we have.
And that is on the CyrusOne.com website.
Correct.
Okay.
It's called a microsite. It's
Got it.
cyrusone.com/Bosque County.
Thank you. Okay, I'm getting through here. So I have been streaming this. We're down to 38 people watching it. So there have been 38 to 50 people watching in addition to everybody's here.
I wonder if my mom was watching it.
Maybe. I suspect that by the time this actually ends, there will be about 5,000 to 6,000 views just on this stream. There are a few questions that came across in the comments of the stream that I would like to share. One question was about road repair. CyrusOne is planning to repair the road when you're done with all construction?
Absolutely. We're repairing roads now. I think anything, any kind of county road we've used, so we will repair all the roads. Commissioners have reached out directly to us to say, bar ditches screwed up or cattle guard got messed up.
Culverts, yeah. Okay, and
May I just add to that? That is also a component of performance within the existing abatement agreement. Commitment from CyrusOne is to return the roads to at or above the condition which they found them in, and if they do not do that within a certain time frame, the county will do that and then invoice them for that. So we do have that. That's a performance measure within the abatement agreement. If they chose not to comply, then they would trigger a default, which of course they don't want to do. So.
another question was whether the governor has had a chance to come out and view the data center. I know it's campaign season, so maybe he's done a dog and show out there, or will plan to.
The governor has not been to this facility, but was he invited to something? He was invited to one of them, right?
Yeah, we typically have a couple of events at our data center, so we do sometimes a groundbreaking or a topping off ceremony. We have not done a topping off ceremony at Bosque because we just started construction, but when we do a topping off, it's kind of like a ribbon cutting event. We will be inviting government officials to that event when it takes place.
Fantastic. Another question was about whether locals will be able to access the fiber utilities.
No. And it's not because we don't want to. The fiber is more or less directly connected between facilities. So it's not like public access. So it goes from one data center to another. It's not the type of infrastructure for ISP. Is there fiber in Bosque County today? Yeah. So it's different kind of fiber. I mean, this is dark fiber that they run between the sites. So no improved internet access for the citizens. I apologize.
You can work on that.
Starlink is really good in rural. I'm going to plug Starlink for everybody, but definitely the way to go. Cheaper than waiting on the fiber to show up.
Another question was about the job, we said job fair, and how many locals would you expect to be hired, and is there another job fair planned?
We will plan another job fair. I believe we hired 10 on the spot. And I think there were some other follow-up interviews that we're gonna go on. But there's more work to come, and so we will definitely host another one. And I think the one that was hosted right now is really for like high-level, construction. Like we're in the dirt, we're bringing steel up, concrete. Next one will be probably electrical, HVAC focused, and then really operations. And there's entry-level jobs at the data center, all the way up to, senior facility manager that,
is kind of the chief of the boat running the site. Entry level is, shipping and receiving clerk, security, things like that.
And I'm checking one last time. I know that you guys already addressed noise control, and you already addressed power, and you already addressed what the data center, what the tenants would be doing, that you can't necessarily disclose that. Did you say kilowatts or megawatts?
Megawatts. So everything's in megawatts.
And the very last question so far is, what aquifer will you be pulling water from?
Whatever's under that site, I don't know.
And I suspect the information about the wells and the permits and all that detail will be added to that microsite.
Yeah. And like I said, I think those applications are going in or just about to go in right now. So they will be on there. I think we'll also share the sound study on that website, just so everybody can see what's in there and how we model it.
I would love to ask moving forward that the address not reflect Whitney, since it's not a Whitney address, and it's causing a whole lot of furor over on our side of the river. There's a lot of people because one of the filings says Whitney. And so people are wondering if it's another data center coming in over in Whitney, or what's going on. So I've spent some significant amount of time online trying to explain that. I don't know.
Is the post office think it's Whitney?
No.
So when we start pulling permits, and we're not fully permitted yet with the county. So the water and well septic permits are not complete. We're still working with all the regulatory organizations to get those filed and to make sure we're compliant, overly compliant with the water piece. But when we get an address, that's filed with the police department, if I'm not mistaken, and we have not yet gotten our physical address for the property. Sometimes when they're pulling permits, our construction teams or general contractors will use a nearby address or Latin long. So just depending on how they file, it maybe just says Whitney, but we don't get a choice of what our address is. It's just whatever they adjust, like whatever they provide to us.
And I think I'm at the very tail end of what I had written down. As far as taxes go, when you're talking about how much money you guys are having to pay on your bill, what you're wanting to watch for is the August budget and tax rate hearings. That's where the county, the school district, and the cities all decide and do the calculations between what your certified appraisal rolls are and what their budget is. The only way you're getting a lower tax rate or a lower tax bill is if the budget is reined in. You have a very unique opportunity right now. Some of your commissioners are up for election. Some of your school board members may be up for election in the cities around Bosque County. So you need to watch for those hearings coming up in August, and the primary elections start up February 17th to 27th. So just out of curiosity, how many of you guys up on stage are up for re-election? Those are the people you gotta go talk to. And between now and the first Tuesday in March is your best chance to get some really solid answers. Other than that, watch for your tax rate calculation worksheets in August. Look at that revenue rate and look at your line item budgets. Good luck.
Hi, I'm Nathan Deepenow with the Clifton Record Tribune. I have like two questions. One is, was there? Can you point me to the study that was done by the county about anything having to do with environmental stuff, having to do with this data center coming in? Did you guys do any homework ahead of time? And if so, can you point out that PDF so we can read it? Number two, why even give them 30% tax abatement? Like, this seems like a lot of money on the table. I'm not, I'm just curious, I have no idea why that is. And if they did, you got a 30%, what did you get for it? What did we get for it in protections for us as citizens, as residents? And number three, I guess, I don't know, we're going to be going back to Ronald Reagan's quote, trust but verify. I guess we have to look at, if we're looking at water, we're going to be looking at Middle Trinity to see if their water is actually going to be, allocated, with the whatchamacallit, you know what I mean? So that's three questions. Sorry to throw it all on you last minute, but I have that. Thank you.
Let me I'll take the one on the permitting piece. So we go to the county for well and septic. Everything else is through TCEQ on the environmental side. So all of our generators are permitted through TCEQ, and everything, right? So all the environmental permits are done through the state, except for the well has to get done here and the septic permit has to get done here. The county, feel free to jump in there.
Actually, your well is through the state as well.
Oh, well, it's through the state too, right?
So as far as the county goes, we handle the septic. Studies, we relied on the studies that they provided us. The 30% abatement, the why, without an abatement, we have absolutely no control or input. The downlights, that was requested by the county. As far as the setback and the green screen, the landscaping, the county has input on that because of the abatement. So your abatement is a way to enable the county input, access, and control. The trust but verify, that stands for itself.
Robert Payne again. I don't have a question, but just a comment. You said that you haven't looked into rainwater harvest. I would encourage you to do that. If you say you got 240,000 square feet of buildings, you would only need, which is 5.5 acres. If you only did 1 acre of building, you would have 1 million gallons of harvest in a year. That's twice what you need, and that you're not gonna, right now if you use well water, it's potable water. If you use this, you wouldn't, and you would be well plus positive on your water usage by dedicating only 1 acre of your roof line to rain harvest. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, I'm Daenerys Neely. I'm the mayor for the city of Clifton. And I want to say for everybody here tonight that we have worked some with John and Calpine, the construction company, and so far they have been a wonderful team. I can contact any of them, their marketing group, at any time, and it's always a good response. For a company to come and do what they're doing tonight, this wasn't easy, because there were a lot of got-you questions in here. And somebody was trying to catch somebody. And they're trying to answer as honestly as they can. So when we talk about being neighborly, that's reciprocal. And so, I just want to thank them, I want to thank the county officials. They've done the best job at working. Economic development always isn't the easiest thing to do, especially in a small community. But I do appreciate what this is going to do, and I appreciate what it will do for our community. And I assure you, I've looked into Cyrus, and they will help the community. But they need to get here first. They need to get started and then you take care of that business first. And then they'll come and look at everybody here. I promise you.
Thank you, Mayor.
I would like to add that I hope everyone is aware of the Veterans Memorial in Meridian. And Alicia Wallum worked with Fannie off on that to get it in place. And CyrusOne stepped in towards the end, and they provided the amount of money that was needed to complete that project. So, and that is before they're here.
Alicia, one quick question. What commissioner precinct are you in? 1, 2, 3, or 4? Because I live in 1, and I live at Wallington, real close to the new park. So is 56 South where y'all are located in 1?
We're in 3.
You're in 3. Okay, I didn't know if it was 1 or 3. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, if there's no more, is there any more questions? Once again, thank you all for being here. I might have dated myself by saying call us anytime, maybe email us anytime is better. But thank you all again, and we look forward to talking to you again.
They said 2 phases.
Okay, I would like to
They said 3 phases last.
also say thank you for being
in
here.
October.
As this is a public
When they're talking about
hearing,
Rotary Club.
item number 3 is adjourn. I need a motion and a second.
I'll second.
I have a motion made by Commissioner Townley, second by Commissioner
I
Levin.
don't remember if I
Is
have.
there any discussion?
They haven't actually
All in
adjourned yet.
favor? Any against?
Sorry.
Okay.
That item carries and is adjourned at 8:08 p.m. Thank you again.
This is
Good questions. Yeah.
so which one was the board commissioners were in their public hearing.
I think I might have.
And then I don't remember what all they said because I watched it this last summer. You know?
Yeah.
So
I slept some
pretty
things.
good. Hello.
I'm Billy.
Hi,
Ren.
Billy.
It's nice to meet you.
Well,
I think we were back and forth a little bit.
Yeah.
on,
Okay. So this is the new thing about having my own stream. Do you guys? What do you think? This is your chance to speak openly.
I think that we had a lot of good questions, a lot of hard questions asked. I think that we need to get the power company next and ask them about powering the data center.
I would also ask you to reach out to Kelly Hancock. Kelly Hancock is the acting controller right now for Texas. He was at a meet and greet in Hillsborough last week, and he mentioned that he's kind of looking forward to all these data centers because they encourage the power companies to strengthen and upgrade all of their infrastructure.
Yes.
So,
well, it's going to be interesting because this is going to require 400 megawatts at full capacity, and that equates at 10 to 20%, 2.57 million gallons of water a day to power Capline to supply the data center.
So the next town hall needs to be a power town hall.
That's absolutely right. And I'm really surprised they didn't have a representative here tonight.
It's kind of interesting to see
system
how
kind of diverts. It's a diversion.
Shift the responsibility.
That's right. And I appreciate everything you did. And,
no problem. You got it.
Yeah.
Did you get everything answered? You thought you could get answered?
I think the next step is the power. Yeah, because they're the ones that are going to be consuming the water to power.
Okay, guys, I'm going to shut this down now. I will also, now Facebook will delete this stream in 30 days. So I will download it and put it on my YouTube channel, and I will put a link to that YouTube video in the caption of this and down in the comments. So watch for that probably tomorrow morning. And
That's a
make
lot
sure
of
you
money.
capture that YouTube stream or YouTube link if you want to be able to reference this next month. All right? And keep me apprised of any other stuff that's happening. I'm over in Whitney. I'm not really following Bosque County stuff so much, but events like this are something that I do try to prioritize. So thank you for everybody that shared about it and found out about it and spoke up, and make sure you go hit your next commissioner court meeting.